I've just hit the record button, so we are recording this. For those of you that don't know, my name is Terry Maxwell, and 12 years ago, I started a company called Succeed on Purpose with one goal, and that was to inspire potential and help people get connected to more meaningful work and a more prosperous life. And some of the methodologies that underpin ShiftCo were created out of Succeed on Purpose. What I want to describe before we get into this particular lesson is ShiftCo licenses content from master teachers all over the globe. I'm one of those master teachers, and I consider myself very fortunate to be a master teacher in ShiftCo. And so this particular program that I'm going to be sharing with you is a program that all of our members have access to as part of their membership, which is very unique. We have phenomenal business growth training. Anybody that's a member that's experienced it will, say it's unlike anything you've ever seen. But what really is part of the secret is the fact that we intersperse energy work and mindset work, confidence, a lot of these, what we call personal fuel methods. We intersperse them in with the business growth training, which is very unique. And this is one of those programs. Now, this particular program, I've been teaching this program for about 8 years under a moniker called the Prosperity Challenge. And we've had phenomenal results inside Succeed on Purpose. So needless to say, I wanted to bring it into ShiftCo. It's very unique in the fact that it's this nice combination of a methodology that works well for the egoic mind and energy and emotional alignment that really works well for the soul. So in this hour that we'll be together, I'm going to walk you through the entire method. And then I just want you to understand that there's an 8-module series where we teach our members how to do this, what we're going to walk through and do today. You'll feel it. You'll feel the energy shift when we do it today. And I'll give you a lot of the why behind the what and the how. But there is a full 8-module course that is in the Shift Core. Any of our members can go in at any time and go through those lessons. And then every quarter we run what we call a collab, where a group of people will get together and they'll collaborate to apply this method into their lives. So with that intro, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And this is, although I normally introduce myself and talk about my business credentials, in this particular area, I'm going to introduce myself and talk about my prosperity credentials. This is me at 4. That is the house that I grew up in. There were 5 of us in that 600 square foot trailer. Both of my parents were raging alcoholics. I was abused in every way possible. This is me and my brothers in the back of the trailer. So this was our playground. This is me working. And part of my struggles in life have come from the fact that all I've known is hard work. And everything was hard in those early years. And I used a lot of the techniques that I'm going to walk you through today to create this very blessed life. It's not been an easy life. I'm very open about my failures and challenges in business and the highs and lows, but I've got this amazing life. I'm working on my 3rd book right now. I've got this amazing portfolio of companies called Share on Purpose, Inc. And Succeed on Purpose was really our first concept. So what I'm teaching you today, I've experienced. It's not theory. It's not anything that, is just, oh, I got lucky. This particular method, what we call the L.E.A.P model in the Prosperity Challenge, I've tested and designed this over the last 8 years or so. And how I measure my success of anything that I launch is, does it work when people use it? And so what would happen the first time I launched what used to be called Accelerating Abundance, I followed people for 2 years to see how it worked. And then I updated the methods and then launched it again. And then about 2.5 years ago, I launched again with what you're going to see is the L.E.A.P model today. The first big insight that I had as I was trying to learn how to be prosperous in every way, financially, emotionally, spiritually, in my relationships, work-life balance, the first big insight that I had is the fact that there are two very distinct theories about how you go about creating success. And there's the process that I grew up in, trained under Tony Robbins. And if you're not on mute, you might want to mute because I'm getting some background noise. But I was trained under Tony Robbins and studied under him for a long time. And he, most of his work originated around this process that I thought through, decide, plan, act, adjust. And it's a very static mental process. It works very well for the realities of time and space, but it unconsciously sets up play not to lose habits. This is when I really started questioning this method. Was I had really achieved a lot of success from this decide, plan, act, adjust method. And this pivot happened where the company that I had helped take public on the NASDAQ stock exchange was bought by Prodigy, and then AT&T bought Prodigy, and my life changed. And all of a sudden I went from being on top of the world and having access to all of these resources and money to not having a job. And that's when I became an entrepreneur. And what I found myself doing is holding on to my chips, just literally playing not to lose. I didn't want to lose what I had. And this was around the time that 9/11 had happened. And oh my God, I was just hanging on to everything for dear life because of this process. And that's when I began to explore, there's got to be another way. Now, what makes this process work well for the human mind is it leverages our power, our willpower, the power of will, the will to make things happen. And it's very dependent upon that force that is within us. And I really believe that the power of will is a strong, vibrant force. And I have used my will to make a lot of things happen. But at the same time that I was balancing the fact that I was playing not to lose and that I wasn't really unleashed, I noticed that this method, decide, plan, act, adjust, doesn't really factor in co-creating with these quantum forces that I was feeling. I could feel them happening. I could feel them around me, but I didn't know how to harness them because it didn't fit into this structure of decide, plan, act, adjust. So I did like what a lot of people did. I go to the opposite side, right? And I'm manifesting woo-woo, law of attraction, The Secret, and I'm studying all this stuff. And I'm noticing it's a very dynamic, and very spiritual process, but there's some major inconsistencies. It doesn't factor in the time space fears that we have in our human mind. It just doesn't seem to fit. And it doesn't, at the same time, this notion of leveraging the unseen forces, it does that well, and unleashing the ability to co-create with the soul. It didn't always work consistently. And that drove me nuts because decide, plan, act, adjust worked consistently. And I didn't like the fact that the manifesting woo-woo didn't work consistently. And part of what I uncovered is that through its nature of connecting with, the universe, whatever you want to call that stuff, ask, believe, receive, that it really emitted the power in me that I call will. Now we can call it whatever, but I called it will. So I was really struggling with, is it this way or is it that way? I had this either or mindset. And then I asked this question, wait a minute, what if my soul, the energy part of me that's connected to that higher realm, whatever you want to call that realm, actually worked with my human and my ego to create success? What if they collaborated? Like, what if it's not an or this way or that way? What if they actually work together? And that's when I uncovered the fact that will and willing something to happen can exist in both realms. You just do it differently. And that idea led me to what I'm going to share with you today. So here's the trade-off, because we tend to think in these or rather than and frames. And so here's the or to and frame. The ego thinks about things in terms of the past and the future. I'm beating myself up for the past. I'm worried about the future. The soul is very comfortable being in the present moment. When we're in the present moment, our soul is calm, like, oh, thank God, chill out, and the soul just calms down when we're feeling present. The problem is the ego doesn't allow us to stay present because it starts beating us up over the past and worrying about the future. The ego is designed to help us persevere. And again, my ego was very, very strong, not the egoic, but the ego was very strong. My ability to persevere and survive those things that I shared with you was very strong. The soul says, you don't need to persevere. You don't need to fight your way through it. You don't need to be challenged. You just need to create solutions. And as I started playing around with these two very different energies, keep in mind, I showed you where I came from. I showed you what I had created. I thought that I had persevered, but what I had actually done was create energetically. And I created pictures of my house before my house actually manifested. And I created images in my mind of what I wanted my career to look like before I did the decide, plan, act, adjust. I missed the fact that I had created them in my mind and in my energy first, and that was actually a better way to do it. The ego thinks it has to effort, everything is a struggle, whereas the soul says, no, just play. In this particular area, one of the programs that we also have in ShiftCo from one of our other master teachers, and I'm hoping we'll have multiple master teachers that will help us with play, because the soul gains power when we play. And then force, the ego forces. Think about decide, plan, act, adjust. That's a forcing model. The soul says, get in the flow. And as I really started to understand flow and started studying the art of Wu Wei, I started to realize that if I could let my soul move into the present, if I could just stay more present, I would feel the alignment. And if I could be aligned, I'll feel the flow. Think about that. If we're present, we're aligned. If we're aligned, we stay in the flow. Some people call it the zone. And if I can do that, that's when I'll allow things to happen versus trying to make them happen. But here was the thing that tied this together. Like, this makes perfect sense. Well, guess how you actually become present, get aligned, and stay in the flow? It's actually will. It's moving your will from persevering to creating. In this case, co-creating, which is what I'm going to teach you how to do. So this is a model to co-create, where the soul moves into the present moment. It's moving into a place of creating what it is that you want. It's playful. We play with energy and we feel the flow, so that we can then use that flow to create whatever it is that we want. So we still use willpower. All right, so here's the model. I call it LEAP. Let energy attract prosperity. And remember, this is an example of a program that is in Personal Fuel that all of our members have access to. They can go in at any time and go through the lessons, in addition to the lessons that they take on business training. And every quarter we have a collab where we go for 8 weeks and we integrate these steps. So here's the basis of LEAP, is this idea of shifting the way you use your energy. So here's typically what happens. I don't know about you, but this is what happens to me. I start off open and trusting. Oh gosh, it feels so good. And then I get fearful or impatient. It's not happening fast enough. Or gosh, is COVID ever going to, let my business go back to normal? And for me, it's impatient more than fear. I get very impatient. And then I start to effort and push. I don't know if that sounds like you, but I certainly have this t-shirt. And that's when I move into this energy of trying to make things happen, decide, plan, act, adjust. And then it doesn't work. And all of a sudden I surrender. I'm like, oh God, I'm doing it again. And as I surrender, those 2 little orange circles where the magic begins, I open up to receive. And most of the time I'm being forced to surrender because I'm so darn impatient. But when I open up to receive, which is what I'm going to show you how to do with your energy, I feel the flow start to work. And if we can do less forcing and more flowing, you can create whatever it is that you want, as long as you just trust the process and you learn how to create with the flow, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. Now, how this method works, there's 4 steps. I'm going to walk you through each of the 4 steps and you're going to experience the 4 steps, but it's based on the fact that we're going to use our energy differently. And there's a lot of studies that back this up. Heart Math has been studying this for almost 50 years now. And science has proven that there is this energy field that can actually measure this energy field around us that I'm going to show you how to activate. And we attract through this energy. It's not just decide, plan, act, adjust. We attract through this energy field around us. So the stronger the field, the better. When we live in fear, the energy field decreases. So just think about that. When you're afraid or impatient, you're actually decreasing your ability to co-create. And again, scientifically proven. This is not Terry Maxwell. Just go to Heart Math, check it out, look at the research studies. It's scientifically proven. So how then can I keep that flow going? This was my question. How do is it just appreciation and gratitude? How do I increase my ability to co-create so that I can do more, not do more, but I can create more energetically and not have to effort? Now think about the impact of that. If I could grow that energy field in me, around me, rather than decreasing it, how much more effective would I be at anything, whether it's growing my business, parenting my children, speaking at an event? How can I grow this energy in me so that everything is less effort and more in the flow? Now, when we're focused on fear, think about this for just a second. When we're focused on fear, or we have any kind of negative energy trigger, what happens is the flow of energy starts to move down in your body. Think about when you're depressed and your shoulders start to come in, or think about when you're feeling sad and you almost kind of collapse in. What's happening is your energy is moving down in your body. So part of what I began to see from following people like Joe Dispenza and stuff like that is that I had to stop my energy from moving down, because what happens when my energy starts to flow downward, my mind starts to look for a reason for this change. Literally, the mind starts to rationalize energy changes in our body. Think about that. The mind will start to try to rationalize when our energy changes. So if let's say I'm triggered and somebody says something and I get upset, and my shoulders start to hunch down and my energy starts to move down, the mind says, oh, energy change, what's happening? And it starts to explain and rationalize that shift in energy. And then all of a sudden I'm in my downward spiral of negativity and the government this, and darn those Republicans or libtards or whatever you want to call any of the different things that people are called, the names people are calling themselves right now. My mind starts to rationalize and I start to explain my change in energy. And then I start to literally feel down. I start to feel that negative energy in my body. Now, the key is you can do the exact reverse. You can begin to move your energy upward through your body, which is what LEAP is designed to do. And it changes your vibration. When you start to really open up those upper energy centers in your body and get your energy moving up, which I'm going to show you how to do, then the mind does the reverse. It starts to look for reasons to explain why you're feeling good. It's fascinating. And you'll see it happen here in a second when we do the process. Now, before I walk you through the process of using LEAP, does anyone have any questions? I know those of you that are SHIFCO members are very familiar with the model and you're kind of looking for that boost, but does anyone have any questions before I show you how to use LEAP? All right, well, I'm going to keep going and I'll save time at the end for questions. So the idea behind LEAP is flow. It's getting your energy flowing upward and really letting your desires really drive. The desire to create whatever it is that you want, the desire for a loving relationship, whatever it is, we're going to use the desire to create flow, but we want the energy moving up and we want to really open the energy centers in our body. So how do you do that? Well, the first step, believe it or not, is to clear your energy first. When I added this step, our results for using LEAP dramatically went up. Like it was so unbelievably stark, people's results literally like boom, 3 times better just by adding this one step that I call clearing your energy. I'm going to show you how to do that, but I also want to explain why we do it. And after you clear your energy, then you're just going to simply move into the present, because that's where your power is to really activate these channels. So the key with clearing and centering is I need to align my energy first. So I need to get my energy in alignment with what I actually want to create. So I need to stop worrying about the future, stop beating myself up over the past. I need to clear all that energy, you know, beating myself up with the I'm not good enough bat. I need to get everything in alignment before I start creating. And the reason for that is that we hold a lot of our thoughts and our emotions in our subconscious. We're holding them there. They're not conscious. So I might be, you know, talking to a customer, but I'm feeling afraid that a customer is angry with me or something like that, but I'm not aware that I'm having that feeling. So we don't have awareness in that subconscious. And then we've got these barriers, the I'm not good enough barrier, the self-worth barrier, fear of the unknown barrier, all sitting down in the unconscious, literally pulling our energy down. So the idea of this first step of clearing our energy is we have to move our thoughts and our emotions to the conscious mind first. So we have to call them out. And there's a way that you're going to do that that's very simple. What we're really doing is we're going to identify our thoughts and our fears, and we're going to pull them into our conscious awareness so we can release them. After we're conscious of a fear or thought, it's way easier to shift your energy and move past it. And that's when you'll notice the peacefulness start, when you start to clear some of that energy. So you do that through using a prompt. And I call it the ABCs. So the prompt is first to acknowledge. The truth is, and you just scan your body. So the prompt is, we're going to acknowledge first, ABC. The truth is, I feel afraid. Or the truth is, I feel frustrated. And so make sure you're on mute, and I want you to say out loud, the truth is, I feel, and then whatever comes up, let it come up. The truth is, I feel annoyed. The truth is, I feel frustrated. The truth is, I feel afraid. Whatever it is, just let it come up. And we're going to take about 15 seconds for you to acknowledge. And when you do that, when you say the truth is I feel, and whatever comes up is what needs to come up, it's now in your conscious mind. And then we'll do the other two steps. So 15 seconds to find whatever is there. Now, for most people, things like fear, frustrated, anxious, scared, annoyed, angry comes up. For some, it might be positive. The more you do these ABCs, the more positive it becomes. But it doesn't matter, because it is whatever it is. I can be in a perfectly great mood and do my ABCs and something negative will come up, but it needs to come up. So when I acknowledge, what's happening is I'm pulling that fear and thought out of my subconscious and into the conscious mind. And then I'm just going to breathe. So we take 4 breaths, and there's a certain way that I want you to do this. And the goal of the breathing exercise is to clear our energy. So you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth 4 times, and I'll walk you through it. So breath number 1, in through your nose, out through your mouth. What you'll notice is your blood pressure comes down. Breath number 2 is the exact same breath, but go a little deeper. You'll notice your heart rate starts to come down. Breath number 3, you're going to do it really deep, but when you breathe out, you're going to try to expel all of the air out of your lungs. So here we go, in through your nose, out through the mouth. Breathe it all out. Keep going until there's no air. And then what happens is you're going to take this big sip of air back in, and your heart rate comes down even more. And then breath number 4, in through your nose, out through the mouth. And as you do breath number 4, we're going to get to C. And with breath number 4, we just try to connect to our core, our inner being. So breathe in through your nose, out through the mouth. kind of drop it. And with that fourth breath, just try to feel your center and feel yourself move into the present moment with breath number 4. About 15 seconds there. Energy is clear. You're feeling yourself in the present. Check your thoughts and your emotions. And if for some reason they're running ahead of you and they're racing to your next meeting or what you're going to make for dinner, just try to hug yourself just a little bit. Just pull that in because you need your energy to be in the present moment before we create. So that's the first 2 steps, clearing your energy, ABCs, acknowledge, breathe, connect. Step number 2 is center yourself in the present. And what you do when you do that is you now have aligned all of your energy. And now you can get about the business of creating whatever it is you want now that your energy is in alignment. It's when we try to create, when our energy is not aligned, that causes those mixed results. It's not the secret versus something else. It's not that the secret doesn't work. It's that we're trying to do it when our energy is not clear and we're not in the present. So the first thing, you can use anything. If you like the secret, use the secret for these next 2 steps, but add in clearing your energy and centering in the present so that your energy is aligned before you start to create. So that's the first 2 steps. Once your energy is clear and you're centered, now you can co-create. Now you got all your gas in the tank. And so now then step number 3 is figuring out what you really, really want. And that sounds easy, but believe it or not, one of the hardest parts is figuring out what you really want. Because the weird thing is, when your energy is clear and you're in the present, what you want changes because you're not afraid. You're not worrying about the future, beating yourself up of the past. So what you want changes. It's fascinating. So you've got to now begin the process of figuring out what you really want. And desire fuels your ability to co-create. When your energy is clear and you're centered, your desire for whatever it is you want, your big dream, Oprah show, creating a bigger business, generating more clients, attracting a new relationship, whatever the desire is, it becomes fuel if you've got your energy in alignment. If you don't do those 2 steps, then you can have desires all day long and they're misfiring because your energy is going all over the place and it's not in alignment. So the idea of figuring out what you really, really want, what I do when I'm trying to figure it out is I ask myself, what do I really, really want? And then I ask, why do I want that? Because we get hung up on the how and we forget about the what and the why. And how I can tell when I really want something is when I do that exercise and I start writing down, what do I want? I want this, I want that. And then I say, put next to each one of those, why do I want that? That's when I can call BS on myself, because some of the things that I want are in reaction to a fear that I have. But the ones that are pure, that my why, when I write them down, I feel it. I feel the energy of it. And so I try to then just pick one thing that I can practice with. I got lots of wants, but when I try to pick the thing that I want the most, and it changes, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, it does change. We don't want to have like 10 things on our list. We want to just try to co-create just one thing. But remember that desire, that what you want and why you want it is fuel. And once you've got those first 2 steps where you're in alignment, that's when you throw gas on the fire and you get that one thing you really want. I want 4 new clients. I want to co-create $5,000 in my business. I want to, hire a management team to run my business. I want to co-create a new relationship. I want a new house. Members in ShiftCo have co-created everything under the sun using this method, but we want to really get clear on what do I really, really want? Like what lights me up? Why do I want it? So I don't have any of those cursed hows in there like Mike Dooley talks about. I want to get clear on what I really want. Why do I want it? So I feel the soul really being in that, and I let that desire grow. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So a couple of things to remember about step number 3 to get clear on what you really want, not the how. In fact, just anything that looks like a how, cross it off. You really want to listen to your true self. Your soul knows what it really, really wants, but we're not quiet enough. We haven't got our energy out of the way to just chill the heck out. And so because we've got all that energy and it's not in alignment, then I want this, I want that, and we're bouncing around all over the place. But when you do those first two steps, you can actually hear your soul help you understand what you really want. And those first two steps allow you to really get clear. And when I'm doing this particular step right here, I use the prompt. I'm so happy and grateful now that. When I'm not sure what I want, I use the prompt. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And whatever comes up, I say, oh, I think that's what I really want. So just try that. You can write it or you can say it out loud. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and see if you can, let a desire give birth. So take about 15 to 30 seconds to do that. And we'll see if your desire comes up. It might feel a little emotional too. Now, I want to be crystal clear that whatever you put there doesn't have to be, I want to solve world peace. I went through my largest business cratered in 2018, and I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in a very short period of time, almost wiped out my entire portfolio. It was horrendous. And so all of 2019, I'm like, I want to create cash. I want cash. I want cash. I want cash. And literally it was like, we would get just enough cash to make payroll. I mean, it was that desperate. So, but I wasn't afraid. That was the beautiful thing. Like, I really had to eat my own dog food, as they say. Like, this isn't theory to me. It got me through almost $1 million we lost in between the summer of 2018 and the summer of 2019. It was horrendous. And literally wiped out all of our cash. I racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I mean, literally it was bad. So I was using this, but I wasn't afraid. It was fascinating to me. I wasn't afraid because I was using these steps. And we would have payroll on a Friday, and on a Wednesday or a Thursday, a client would pay early. We had these weird things happening because I was like, I'm co-creating cash, and I'm not going to be afraid. And because I've got payroll on Friday, I don't know how I'm going to make payroll on Friday. And these weird things would happen. So it doesn't have to be this altruistic, oh, I want to co-create world peace. If you want to create new clients and you feel like that's what your soul wants, put new clients on there. If you want more cash, put cash on there. If you want a relationship, put that on there. But you want to be clear, just like we talked about clearing your energy and being in the present. When you go to co-create your desire, you want to be clear that that's what you really want. And that's why I like that. What do I want? Why do I want it? And I also like this prompt. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and I listen to whatever that is. So that allows us now to start using the method. So remember, the first two steps are the most important, believe it or not. ABC, acknowledge, breathe, those 4 breaths, and then connect to your center. When you do that, you feel aligned. You literally will feel that alignment. We'll do it again one more time before we leave, when we put all the steps together. Then you claim your desire, and I mean claim it. And I'm going to talk about what it means to claim a desire when we get to the 4th step. And desire, remember, desire, the more you want something, the easier it is to create it if you get your energy in alignment and get it focused. Let me say that again. The more you want something, the easier it is to create it if you get your energy in alignment and get it focused. And then as you start to focus on what you really want, you'll get to step number 4. And step number 4 is where you move into a state of certainty. And when you're in a state of certainty, that's when you know what actions are yours to take. Now, I want to point out a little secret here that took me a little bit of time. I made the mistake that thinking as soon as I figured out what I wanted, I needed to act then. And I would, oh, this is what I want. Boom, get busy and try to make it happen. That's the ego. It's not how it works. What you do after you claim your desire is you focus your energy and you move first into a state of certainty. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You move into a state of certainty first. You get your energy in alignment first, then you act from that place. So the acting comes after you're feeling certain that you can create whatever it is you want. Little thing makes a huge difference in your ability to co-create. And that's how you co-create with the soul. Now, this idea of a state of certainty was a big breakthrough for me. So what is a state of certainty? Certainty is when your expectations and your emotions are in alignment. So an expectation is what I really want. So what I really want, do I expect that I can create it? So I'm going to tell you a very quick story about this notion of expectations, and I call it the guru paradox. 2013, the first time I almost cratered my portfolio of businesses. We were losing about $30,000 a month, and I only had a couple $100,000 in the bank, and I was getting desperate because nothing I did was working. And so I decided to go to a Tony Robbins event. He'd always helped me in the past. I'm going to go. I'm going to see what he's got. And I go to this event, and the first day I'm like livid, like I'm doing all of this and it's not working. But I noticed that I was feeling different. And I noticed that by the end of the day, I felt different on the inside. And that's when I got this big aha. I don't need Tony Robbins to expect and to be certain. What I need is to create the energy on the inside. I am the guru on the inside. I've got to create the state of certainty on inside of me. I don't need Tony Robbins to do it. You don't need Terry Maxwell to do it. You've got to learn how to change your energy on the inside so that you expect it. So that notion, I became fascinated. Well, how do I do that? Why am I feeling differently at this event than I felt yesterday before I got to this event? And I started studying every little thing that they did. How did they do that? And what they did is they elevate your emotions. That's what makes certainty occur. It's not the expectation, it's the reverse. When you elevate your emotions, you feel certain. And when you feel certain, you expect that you can do it. So elevating your emotions energetically, fascinating. Think about it. I was pumped up, right? So if you've ever been to any of those big events, they've got you high-fiving people. They've got you listening to this music. You know, you're running around, you're jumping up and down. They were elevating your emotions. I all of a sudden was feeling certain like I could do anything. And then I started expecting that I could do anything. So this idea of elevating your emotions is easy to do. And I'm going to show you a little clip of somebody Tony Robbins trained, and we're going to talk about what she does to elevate her emotion and how you can do it too. So here we go. Think about what Ellen is doing. So here's the backstory. Ellen was trained by Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins had her visualizing what she wanted her show to look like and to physically put herself in the show. And she started imagining herself starting her show, not with jokes, which is what she had done in the past as a stand-up comedian, but she started imagining herself starting her show with music and dancing. And so as he was having her do this, and she was listening to the music and she was dancing, all of a sudden it elevated her emotions and she started feeling as if she could do it. Now, the fascinating thing is, as I heard that story literally in 2013, he was telling the story about Ellen, I was like, wait a minute, think about what's happening right now. Ellen walks up and down the audience. So her energy is transferring to the people around her and their energy is transferring to her. How does that happen? And that's when I stumbled on this: music, movement, mood is how you elevate your energy. So you change your state by having just a couple of state songs, and the clapping. And I'm not going to, we do it when people are in group. I'm not gonna have you guys do it now, but clapping and moving your body and just dancing a little bit will cause your mood to be uplifted. And all of a sudden you'll start to feel more certain. So just remember that: music, movement, and mood. If you don't believe me, try it. Have a state song and move to that state song. Big claps. The skin is the largest organ of your body. Do some Rocky punches. You start moving your body to music. It shifts your mood. And then when your energy is elevated, you start to become more certain. So the last piece is how we're going to put all of that together. We're going to literally put the whole thing together, and we're going to pull our energy up. And the energy is going to move through our energy centers all the way up, so that we feel the flow moving upwards for what it is that we want. So by now you should have identified what it is that you want. And we're going to go through the 4 steps. So we start first with clearing our energy, ABCs. So the truth is, I feel. And then whatever comes up, comes up. The truth is, I feel whatever. So A, start there. The truth is, I feel. For me, a little anxiety came up. I don't know what it was for you. But now we're going to take those 4 breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Immediately, I can feel my blood pressure coming down. Breath number 2, a little bit deeper. My heart rate comes down. Breath number 3, we're going to deep breath in through the nose. And when we expel, we're going to expel all of the air out of our lungs. So we get that nice sip of breath after. And then when you breathe in, it feels so different. And then breath number 4. And as you do breath number 4, you're just going to connect. But this time I want you to connect to your root chakra, your kind of like where your tailbone is. So breath number 4, I kind of like to go, ah, ah. And just feel that energy center in the root. Now our energy is aligned. And now we're going to begin the process of moving into a state of certainty using just our energy. And here's how you do that. Now, as I walk you through the method that works for me, just know that you can use any method that works for you. I'm just going to show you mine. But the objective of this is to bring your energy in alignment with your desire. So whatever it is I want, I'm going to say cash, because I still am trying to get the debt paid off from 2018. So I'm going to be co-creating cash. Put whatever you want in there. As I walk you through what I do, I want you to know you can use any method that works. If you like Mike Dooley's method of the matrix, use that. If you like The Secret, use that. If you like, Tony Robbins, whatever, manifesting, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm just going to show you what I do. But the objective is A, to get your energy in alignment with your desire, and B, to get your energy flowing up, not down. Okay. Those are only 2 requirements. So I'm centered. Feel yourself in the root chakra. So we're feeling very centered. Make sure you're sitting right now for this exercise. For those of you that are standing, it'll be easier. You'll feel it if you're sitting. And I just want you to take one more deep breath so you connect with your center, and you'll feel like a little buzz there. So one more breath. So now I've got awareness of my center. I can feel like a little buzz happening. My body is so trained, it starts to wiggle right away because it loves this feeling. And now we're going to move to the second chakra. The second chakra is where we activate desire and joy. So I want you to place your hands on your belly. I've got my little extra 10 pounds from COVID. Thank you very much. I'm going to put my hands on my belly, and I'm just going to kind of laugh and chuckle into my belly. This is kind of silly, but I really want to smile into my belly, and I want to really get the joy going, because it makes it so you feel the energy a little bit stronger. Sounds silly, but just trust me. So just kind of laugh. This is silly. Kind of chuckle in there, wiggle around just a little bit, just to kind of activate that second chakra. And you'll notice a buzz. That buzz starts to, in between the first and the second energy center, you'll feel it start to buzz a little bit. So really get that going. Get a good buzz going. Take about 10 seconds. It sounds silly, just trust me, and just chuckle in there. So now your first and your second energy centers are in alignment. Now, this is where it gets cool. Whatever it is you said you wanted, I'm going to put cash. I'm literally going to imagine it going into my belly, into that second area. So I'm going to stuff cash into that second chakra, because I'm going to move it through my body. I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to let it marinate and just move around with that joy and just kind of stir it up. So whatever it is you want, clients, relationship, new house, put it into that belly area and just let it stir up. And you're going to feel that buzz really growing. So take about 15 seconds and just humor me. Can't hurt. I want you to feel the state of certainty you're going to feel in a minute, and just let that thing, let your desire marinate with the joy in that second chakra. And then we're going to move it through our body. Okay, now we're going to use our will. And this is where it's really cool. This is where we bring the soul and the ego working together. And we're just going to pull, just imagine pulling that cash up through your body. And we're literally going to will that energy to come up. And as it's coming up through our body, we really want to put some trust into it as it comes up. I kind of like suck it up like almost from a straw, and I just pull it up. And I also like to open my arms into a V and open them upwards, because I can feel it. And I pull that cash and that joy up through my body, open my arms up into a V. So I'm really feeling open, pull it all the way up. And then in the third eye, just picture it. So for me, because I've got cash, I'm pulling it up. And as it comes up to the third eye, I just picture like this cash just flowing out of my head. And I'm just picturing that, feeling the energy of that all the way up to the crown chakra. And I want you just to do that one more time. Just pull it up all the way through and let all of that energy move up, and really open your arms into that V and visualize whatever it is, that thing that you want, with the joy infused in it. And take a good 30 seconds to do that. And you're going to feel yourself start to move into this state of certainty. Do that, and let's see what happens. Now I've got a question in the chat that I'll come back to in just a second, because I want to go back through that again. Can anybody describe any of the sensations, and then we'll talk about what that is, and then I'll come back to your question, Jacqueline. Anybody get any sensations?
I felt a little bit of a warmth and the vibration that you were talking about.
Excellent. Anybody else? Dina, you feel lighter? Yep. I can get very lightheaded when I do it.
I felt very peaceful.
Ellen, you felt peaceful? Bright.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anthony felt an energy buzz. Michelle, some releasing. Deborah, brightness.
This is
Exhilarated.
Exhilarated. Okay. Melissa?
Yeah, I was just getting some resistance to moving the joy upward. I kept like trying to suck it upward and it didn't want to move.
Okay.
I don't know
So
what that means.
basically it means you're not in trust. And so all you've got to do is start working on just trusting the flow. Like, don't trust Terry's method or that method. Just trust yourself with the flow. And then just try different techniques until you can feel. The objective with the state of certainty is that all of the energy centers are focused on what you want to create and they're feeling the joy. You can do it through meditation. But whenever you're feeling resistance, it usually is the heart chakra is not trusting. And the weird thing is, it's typically not someone else we're not trusting, it's that we're not completely trusting our ability to create. And so that resistance, you just have to wear that resistance down, if that makes sense, Melissa. Until you trust yourself to co-create. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So much sense in that. I feel like I just got a psychic reading about my life at the moment. So
yeah, well, you know, that's how we roll. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So I'm going to come back to one of the questions. I'm sorry I didn't catch that. Let's see, who was that? Jacqueline, I didn't catch that because I get very excited when we go into a state of certainty because I literally, my body is so trained. I do this every morning and every night and my body is trained. In the minute I know I'm getting ready to do this, my body like gets very excited. Like a dog, I start wiggling. So Jacqueline's question was the prompt. So I'm going to go back to the prompt for just a second. So the prompt that you're saying to yourself is, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then you fill in the blank. And the reason why that prompt helps us figure out what we really want is whenever you use the words I am, the soul is the one that typically responds. So I am so happy and grateful now that, and then I fill in the blank. And when I was first learning how to do this, I learned this from Iyanla Vanzant. I studied under her as well. And what I learned is that I did it. It was more effective if I did it in writing. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and I would just get my journal out and all of a sudden these things started coming up in my journal that were not what my ego was doing. I was growing my business and when I would do this prompt, I'm so happy and grateful now that, my soul kept saying, I'm free of this business. This was literally in 2008, right before I sold my business. I was doing this prompt. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm free from my business. Well, my human form was growing this business and we were literally opening another market and, you know, we were trying to get to 10 million and my soul kept saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm free of this business. So this was January, February of 2008. Keep in mind what happened later in 2008. And so that was my awakening. And I said, you know what? I'm going to trust my soul. Back to that thing with Melissa, and I'm going to sell this business. And I sold this business in April of 2008. Well, guess what happened? We all know. If you're, you know, if you're older than 25, you know what happened in 2008. Well, darn, wasn't that great timing? So that the prompt, when you've got your energy cleared and you write or say out loud, I'm so happy and grateful now that, your soul responds. And that's how you figure out what you really want. Does that make sense? Let's see, did that make sense? Jacqueline, do you have another question? You can say it on video, on the video or the audio.
Yeah, I was just saying, so basically, if I'm understanding correctly, I fill in the blank with what I want. So not something necessarily that has happened, but something that I'm thinking about wanting to happen. And then that's what makes it present. Am I understanding right?
You got it. You nailed it. But
Okay.
It's not just that it's present, it's that it's coming from the soul. And this only works when your energy is cleared. That's why those first two steps are so key. When you clear your energy using the ABCs and you center in the present, and then you get to your desire and you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that, you'll get something. And that something is typically the thing your soul really wants to co-create. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
You got it. Okay, so basically, let's go through the steps again. So it doesn't work unless you clear your energy. So you got to remember that. Clear your energy, clear your energy, clear your energy. I'm so happy and grateful now that, I'm sorry, ABCs, acknowledge, breathe, connect. And when you connect, you center in the present. And then you move into, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and you claim that desire. And then you don't just immediately act, you focus your energy, you move into a state of certainty, and then you take inspired actions from that place. And that's the process of co-creating. Now, keep in mind, this is a lot. The video will be up on the YouTube channel probably tomorrow. You can go through it as many times as you want. If you're a SHIFCO member, you know you've got the modules in personal fuel. We do a collab on it and collaborate and do it together every quarter. But for those of you that are not members, this recording will be up on our YouTube so you can see it. I want to end with music, movement, and mood. And I want you to listen to a song and let this song just imbue you with energy. It's one of the most beautiful upbeat songs I've ever heard, and it will cause you to move into an elevated state. You can watch the video or you can just listen to the words, but this song is called Grateful. Dance a little bit. Snap your fingers.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest, you're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love.
Raise
you're
your
my
arms.
hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug, you're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun, you're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father, you're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround, I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere and the clouds, you're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow, you're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow.
Energy flowing up.
That exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything
All
is
that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Na, 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 na. Grateful for it.
You're the blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learned every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart. Aligned in purpose, everything will feel gorgeous.
All that I see, all that I did, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all.
Every day I sit and pray cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I get back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad
Pull
things
that
happen,
energy
I
up.
can just complain and moan. But there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am, all that I see,
Everything I hope and
all
everything I
that I
dream,
did, and all
and everything
that
I
I'll
feel. I
ever
look deep down and feel all the
be is a
blessings. Everything I
blessing.
am You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
I love that song. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's an honor to serve you. 2021 is almost here. Let's put the past behind us. Let's not worry about the future. Let's co-create our desires. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone.